And here we are for part 3. So like I said, gripping this knife feels very safe and is actually better than I thought. I honestly thought that this texture was going to represent a much bigger issue for me. And to be honest, this is the old Pacific Salt FRN, the old texture. The native salt has this sort of texture, and I think this is much more appropriate for a salt knife. Um, I've even considered taking some sandpaper, even before I use the knife, to round this off. I might round this off a bit. At the same time, I do enjoy how grippy it is, and I don't think it's going to do anything to affect my position here in the hand for power cuts. For the rest, I was okay. Just using the knife as an everyday carry knife for everyday carry knife tasks, no issues. I do enjoy the larger spider holes. These are about 14 millimeters across. I think the largest one is actually the Para 2, 14.5. They do make opening the knife and closing the knife, because sometimes you're going to catch the spine, but even if you catch just the hole, it really helps out. So that's one thing I like. Another thing is the jimping. I've said this numerous times. If jimping is there, it shouldn't bother me. For this one, it's actually okay for the salt model. But for some models, I understand it, paramilitary, tactical, this bothers me. Even something like this, the sharp corners of the Mannix bother me. Or this, which oddly enough, it's very rounded. These are very aggressive, not pleasant at all. In my opinion, yes, if you have jimping, especially for a salt knife, it should be like this, where you feel it, you know you're here, you can push into it, so it just gives you that indexing. Where are you? How are you? Hey, I'm slipping a bit. So, but it shouldn't hurt you. And this one does great. The spine of the knife is very well rounded. I can't complain about this at all. Now, I don't know if your model will be like my Stretch 2, but this one has symmetrical grind angles. You can see that also because if you put a 15-degree per side edge angle, the width of the edge is the same on both sides. So it was ground symmetrical. One thing that I didn't notice, a friend of mine noticed, this one has a small hump here. So it's not a continuous curve, it's a curve here, and then there's a small drop. It's not true for every Caribbean. This is probably something they overlooked with this particular Caribbean. The rest of them have a nice, better tip, but I don't mind this. You don't notice it. Even looking at it, you don't see it. Only if you look straight down on it. Might be like a reverse Tanto spine. Doesn't really matter, does not bother me. What I care most is how comfortable is it for everyday carry tasks as an everyday carry knife, and it does okay. It has the advantage of having this salt steel, the LC200M, and this salt handle, and I do understand how this could be high visibility. As an EDC knife, however, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that it has these high, bright yellow and black scales. You put this in your knife, people are going to be able to see it. It has a shallow carry pocket clip, which I understand the functionality of it. If this is a salt knife, you carry this out on sea, you want quick access to it. You don't want something like this, a deep carry pocket clip. You don't care if it's high visibility. You're out on sea, you have a knife in your pocket. There are aftermarket pocket clips you can get for it. However, the holes are, from what I've noticed, pocket clips which will fit my Para 2 do not fit this one. So food for thought, if you get a Caribbean and want an aftermarket pocket clip, be sure you get one and the seller tells you that it actually fits the Caribbean. I have no issues with it, but if you want to carry this in your pocket, clip to your pocket, it's going to be high visibility, unless you carry something over that pocket. Carrying this in your pocket, this is a pocket hog. much like this one. I would say even more than this one. This one I put a deep carry pocket clip from Benchmade on it. But either of these knives is going to take a lot of space in your pocket. You will feel it. After carrying this for 2 months, I put in my current everyday carry knife in my pocket, and I noticed that it wasn't this knife. It didn't bother me. I have no issue carrying larger knives in my pocket. But as soon as I put a regular knife, let's call it that, in my pocket, I noticed that it wasn't this one. So yes, it's going to be a pocket hog. It depends whether you can accept, whether you can live with that or not. I have no issues. I think as far as salt knives are concerned, everyday carry salt knives. I know there are a few. So far, this is the best one I had. I don't know the Spidey Chef. I like the design of the Siren, but I think the Caribbean is a much better design. I would like the Siren much better if it had a better backlock. Yeah, more a better thought out backlock. The action is great on the Siren, no complaints about that, but does ding up the blade, and yeah. This one, I like comp locks. They are fidgety. This is kind of the most fidgety backlock you can actually get. I mean, this action really gets me to this day. But this comp lock, if you want to fidget around with it, and even for quick access, it just works. Now, you've seen how I disengaged the blade. I disengaged the lock and swung the blade. And it won't hit me if I keep my my index finger right next to the guard. It won't cut me. If you keep it much lower, you might get cut. So that's something you need to get accustomed to. If not, you can close comp lock by moving all your fingers out of the way. And actually, I tend to use the pocket clip as something to grab onto. Opening it via the comp lock, it works with this one because it has such good action. It doesn't work with this one, but closing it halfway or fully works. So I do like the comp lock. I like it better than most liner locks. Definitely like it better than a regular back lock. For safety reasons, the Triad Lock I think is the best locking mechanism. No issues with that. They did a lot of good things with this knife. The fact that they milled out the scales to fit inside the relief holes for the liners, fantastic. You hear that everywhere. But from my experience, saltwater knife, which can be used as an EDC knife if you don't mind the size of it in your pocket, this works. Keeping it sharp. Now, I talk a lot on my Patreon channel about sharpening knives, edges, edge fatigue, overstropping, stuff like that. And this is one of the reasons why I tested this knife like I did. I put it in my pocket and I cut just everything that I needed to cut with it. And then I checked to see if I could strop it back to shaving sharp, or at least paper slicing sharp. And I have yet to get a chip in this blade. The last cardboard cutting test, it wouldn't, after it wouldn't really bite into a paper. You couldn't push cut into it, and then you can sort of slice cut, but you could tell the edge was severely damaged. I'll continue this in part 4, I think.